The millionaire's daughter stopped eating until the new maid did the impossible. The girl was slowly fading away, not eating, not speaking, not reacting. Doctors tried everything and failed. It was an unknown maid who came in, sat down, and made the child eat. Only then did everyone understand. She didn't want to be saved. The rain beat hard against the windows of the apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Henry watched the drops slide down the glass, each one tracing a different path, all ending in the same place, in the emptiness of the windowsill. It was 3 in the afternoon on a grey Tuesday, but for him the days had lost their names and colours. Everything had blurred into a thick fog since that morning that split his life into before and after. Helen's departure was abrupt, violent in its irreversibility. One moment she was there laughing at a silly joke Sophia had told at breakfast, and the next, the world collapsed. The doctors used technical words, tried to explain the inexplicable. Henry heard it all like someone listening to a foreign language. The words went in, but they made no sense. She was only 35. How does someone just cease to exist like that without warning, without a goodbye? In the first few days, the house was bustling with people, friends, distant relatives, neighbors they barely knew, brought food no one ate, offered words that didn't console. Everyone wanted to help, but no one knew how. Henry floated between rooms, like a ghost, nodding mechanically, thanking them for empty phrases, waiting for everyone to leave so he could finally feel what he needed to feel. But when the last visitor left and silence took over the house, he discovered something terrifying. He couldn't feel anything. It was as if a part of him had left with Helen, leaving only a shell that breathed, walked but didn't live. Sophia was only 6. Her brown eyes, so much like her mother's, held a confusion that broke your heart. She didn't cry, she didn't ask questions. She just observed everything with a disturbing quietness. At the funeral, she sat on the lap of Maria, the housekeeper who had worked with the family since the girl was born. She didn't move, didn't complain. When they got home, she went straight to her room and closed the door. Henry tried to talk to her that first night. He knocked gently on the door, entered slowly. Sophia was lying in bed, hugging the teddy bear Helen had given her for her last birthday. The room still smelled of her mother's perfume, that soft vanilla scent Helen would spritz before saying goodnight. "Where's Mommy?" the girl asked, her voice so low Henry almost didn't hear it. He sat on the edge of the bed, searching for words that wouldn't hurt, but also wouldn't lie. "Mommy had to leave, sweetheart. She didn't want to, but she had to go." Sophia turned her face to the wall. "Is she coming back?" The question pierced Henry. "No, love, she's not coming back." "Why?" "Because some things we can't control. Sometimes the people we love have to leave, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. I don't want her to have left." "Me neither, Sophia, me neither." The girl said nothing more. Henry stayed there for a few more minutes, his hand resting on her back, feeling her uneven breathing. He wanted to say that everything would be okay, that he would take care of her, that he would never leave her alone. But the words wouldn't come out. He knew they were promises he might not be able to keep. How do you take care of someone when you're shattered yourself? In the following days, Sophia began to change. The changes were subtle at first. She stopped asking to watch her favorite cartoons. She stopped playing with the toys scattered around the living room. When Maria called her to eat, she would go to the table, sit, look at her plate, but not touch the food. She just pushed the rice from one side to the other with her fork, building little white mountains that she would then demolish. "Not hungry, my love?" Maria would ask, her voice heavy with worry. Sophia would shake her head, but wouldn't explain. After half an hour of coaxing, Maria would give up. The girl would go back to her room, to that silence that was beginning to frighten everyone. Henry, immersed in his own pain, barely noticed. He had thrown himself into work with a manic intensity. He woke up before sunrise, showered on autopilot, put on his suit, left without breakfast. He spent the entire day at the office, attending meetings, answering emails, creating spreadsheets, closing deals. Anything not to think, anything not to feel. He would come home when Sophia was already asleep, or at least he thought she was. Maria tried to talk to him a few times. "Mr. Hayes, Sophia isn't well. She's not eating right. She doesn't talk anymore. She stays in her room all day, staring at the wall. Henry heard, but he didn't process. It's grief, Maria. She needs time. We all need time. But it's more than that, sir. She's fading away. Have you noticed? She's thinner, paler. There's no life in her eyes anymore. I'll call the pediatrician tomorrow. He'll know what to do. But he didn't call. The next day there was an important meeting with investors. Then a business lunch. At night, more reports to review. The pediatrician was put off. Later became a week. The week became 2. It was Maria who took the initiative. She took Sophia to... The doctor explained the symptoms. The pediatrician examined the girl, ordered blood tests, spoke privately with Maria. The words were direct and terrifying. The child was suffering from malnutrition. If she continued like this, she would be in critical condition in a few weeks. Maria called Henry in the middle of a meeting. He answered, annoyed, but when he heard the panic in her voice, he excused himself and left the room. "Sir, you need to come home now. It's about Sophia. It's urgent." Henry hung up and ran. For the first time in weeks, work was no longer the priority. He arrived home breathless, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Maria was in the living room, her face stained with tears. She explained everything, the tests, the diagnosis, the urgency. Henry felt the floor give way beneath his feet. He went into Sophia's room. The girl was lying in bed, her eyes fixed on the ceiling. She was unrecognizable. Her face, once round and rosy, was now thin, her cheekbones prominent. Her arms, once chubby and full of life, now looked like fragile twigs. Her clothes, which had fit perfectly weeks ago, now hung loosely on her skeletal frame. "Sophia," he called, his voice choked. She didn't answer, didn't turn her head, just kept staring into space. Henry sat on the bed, took her hand. It was cold, too small. "Honey, you need to eat. You need to get strong." "I don't want to," she whispered. "Why not?" "Just because. You're sick. You need to eat, to take care of yourself." "It doesn't matter." "It does matter. You matter. To me, to Maria, to everyone who loves you. Mommy isn't here anymore." The sentence landed like a bomb. Henry felt his throat tighten. "I know, honey. I know. You miss her so much, but she would want you to live, to be happy, to grow up strong." "But I can't be happy without her." Henry had no answer. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that life goes on, even when it seems impossible? How do you say that the pain will one day lessen when he didn't believe it himself? He hired the best specialists, child psychiatrists, nutritionists, therapists. They all came, evaluated, prescribed treatments. Sophia was subjected to therapy sessions, strict meal plans, medications that promised to stimulate her appetite. Nothing worked. The girl continued to withdraw, to shrink, to fade away. The nights were the worst. Sophia had nightmares. She would wake up screaming, sweating, calling for her mother. Maria would run to the room, turn on the light, hug the girl until she calmed down. But even in the housekeeper's arms, Sophia trembled, her small body shaken by silent sobs that broke the heart of anyone who heard them. Henry, in the next room, heard everything, but he didn't move. He lay in the dark, his eyes open, unable to get up. He was a coward, he knew, but the pain was so great, he could barely take care of himself. How could he take care of someone else? Maria began to lose her patience. One morning, after another sleepless night caring for Sophia, she knocked on Henry's bedroom door. He was sitting on the bed, his face in his hands. "Mr. Hayes, we need to talk." "Now is not a good time, Maria." "There is no good time. It's been weeks since you've had a real conversation with Sophia, weeks since you've barely looked at her." "I'm trying, Maria. I'm doing what I can." "No, sir, you're running away. You're hiding in your work, drowning in meetings, doing everything you can to avoid facing reality. But while you're running, your daughter is dying." The word hit him like a slap. Henry stood up, his eyes red with anger and pain. "Don't use that word. Don't talk like that." "But it's the truth, sir. Sophia is disappearing, and you're not doing anything to stop it. I've hired the best doctors, the best treatments. She doesn't need doctors. She needs her father." Henry sat down again, defeated. "I don't know how to be a father right now, Maria. I don't know how to help when I'm so lost myself." "Then learn, sir. Because if you don't learn soon, you're going to lose her too, and then there will be no coming back. Maria's words echoed in Henry's mind for the next few days. He knew she was right. But knowing didn't make things any easier. Every time he tried to get close to Sophia, he felt a knot in his stomach. He saw Helen in his daughter's every gesture, in the way she furrowed her brow, in the rare smile that still appeared now and then. It was too painful. On a grey Thursday, Maria informed him she needed to leave early. Her sister was sick and she had to visit her at the hospital. Henry, for the first time in weeks, would have to be alone with Sophia for the afternoon. Panic was immediate. He didn't know what to do. How do you entertain a child who didn't talk, didn't play, didn't eat? But Maria was already leaving, and there was no alternative. Henry went upstairs slowly. He knocked on Sophia's door. "Can I come in?" Silence. He entered anyway. Sophia was sitting in the chair by the window, looking down at the street. Below. She didn't turn when he came in. "Hey, honey, Maria had to leave. It's just you and me this afternoon. What do you want to do?" "Nothing." "Want to watch something? Play a game?" "No." Henry felt his frustration grow. "Okay, I'll be downstairs if you need me." He was almost out the door when he heard her voice, so quiet he almost missed it. "Dad?" "Yes?" "Do you miss her too?" Henry stopped, turned. Sophia was still facing away, looking out the window. "I do, honey. So much. Every day. Every day. Every second." "Me too." It was the first real conversation they'd had in weeks. It didn't last long, but it was a start. Henry sat on the floor next to her chair. He didn't try to hug her, didn't try to console her. He just sat there, sharing the silence, sharing the pain. That same week, Maria made an announcement. "Mr. Hayes, I've hired some help, someone to assist me with the house and with Sophia. She starts on Monday." Henry barely paid attention. "Fine. Do whatever you think is best." Maria didn't mention that she had chosen this specific young woman for a reason. Maya was only 23, from a modest family in Queens. But when Maria interviewed her and heard her story, she knew she was the right person. Maya had lost her mother at age 7, under tragic circumstances. She grew up knowing what it was to carry an emptiness, what it was to silence your pain so as not to bother others, what it was to need to be strong when you're just a scared child. On Monday, Maya arrived early. She wore a simple navy blue dress, her hair tied back in a ponytail. She was pretty in an understated way, with dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient stories. Maria quickly introduced her to Henry, who gave a distracted nod before leaving for work. Then she took the young woman to Sophia's room. "Sophia, this is Maya. She's going to be here with us, helping take care of the house and you." Sophia looked at the newcomer with indifference. She said nothing. She went back to staring at the wall. Maya didn't seem offended. She just smiled faintly and introduced herself. "Hi, Sophia. It's a pleasure to meet you." The girl didn't respond. Maria sighed. "She's been like this for weeks. Doesn't talk much, doesn't interact, but we'll keep trying, right?" Maya nodded. After Maria left, she didn't try to force a conversation. She didn't try to cheer Sophia up, didn't offer games or distractions. She just took a cloth and began to quietly dust the furniture in the room. Every now and then she would hum an old song, the kind grandmothers sing. Sophia, without realizing it, began to pay attention. It was a soft melody, a little melancholic, but comforting. Without meaning to, she turned her head slightly in Maya's direction. The young woman noticed but didn't make a big deal of it. She kept cleaning, kept humming. When she finished, she put away the supplies and left, offering only a "Have a good day, Sophia," before closing the door. In the following days, the routine repeated itself. Maya would enter the room, greet Sophia, perform small tasks and leave. She didn't demand, didn't pressure, didn't invade. She was just there, a silent but constant presence. On Wednesday, Sophia asked for the first time in weeks, "What's that song you're singing?" Maya smiled. "It's a lullaby my grandmother used to sing to me when I was little. Do you want me to sing it louder so you can hear it better?" Sophia thought for a moment and nodded. Maya sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, and sang the whole song. Her voice was soft, in tune, filled with memory. When she finished, Sophia's eyes were misty. "It was pretty," the girl whispered. "My grandmother said it was a song of comfort, to soothe a heart when it's hurting." Sophia looked at her with a new intensity. "Has your heart ever been hurt?" Maya took a deep breath. "It has. When I was about your age, I lost my mum. It was sudden, without warning. One day she was there, the next she wasn't. And what did you do?" "I stopped talking for a while. I stopped eating. I thought that if I disappeared too, maybe I could find her again somewhere." Sophia's eyes widened. It was exactly what she felt but had never been able to put into words. "Did you?" "Did I what?" "Find your mom again." Maya shook her head slowly. "Not in the way I wanted to, but I learned that she's with me in other ways. In the memories, in the things she taught me, in the love she left behind. No one can take that away from us, Sophia. Not distance, not time, not anything." The girl was silent, processing. Then, for the first time in weeks, she asked something that wasn't about pain. "Are you going to be here for a long time?" "I'll stay as long as you need me." And just like that, without fanfare, without protocols or elaborate therapies, a fragile but real bond began to form between the young woman who knew pain up close and the little girl who was drowning in it. The days began to take on a different rhythm in that Upper East Side apartment. Maya always arrived at 7 in the morning, before the sun had fully risen. She brought with her a calm way of occupying spaces, without rush, without fuss. Maria, who had initially hired the young woman just as extra help, soon realized she had made the right choice. Every morning, Maya would go upstairs and knock gently on Sophia's door. "Good morning, little bird. Can I come in?" The first week, Sophia didn't answer. Maya would enter anyway, slowly opening the curtains, letting the light filter softly through the window. "Have you seen how beautiful the sky is today? It has these shades of pink that look like watercolors." Sophia wouldn't look, but she listened, and that was already something. Maya had a peculiar way of sharing her own life without expecting anything in return. While tidying the room or changing the sheets, she told stories. She talked about her childhood in Queens, playing on the street with her cousins, the smell of bread baking at the corner bakery. She mentioned her mother without fear, without rehearsed pain, just with the honesty of someone who learned that remembering is also a way of keeping someone alive. "My mum loved to cook," she said one morning while folding a blanket. "She made this bread with butter and cheese that was the simplest thing in the world, but it tasted like love. You know when food tastes like home?" Sophia, for the first time, reacted. She turned her head slightly. "My mom liked to cook too." Maya smiled, but didn't celebrate. She continued in her calm voice. "Really? And what did she make that you liked the most?" "Carrot cake with chocolate frosting." "That sounds delicious, I bet." "It was the best cake in the world." "It was." The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. Maya finished tidying up and left, leaving only a faint smile in the girl's direction. Sophia stared at the closed door for a long time. There was something different about this young woman. She didn't try to fix anything, didn't offer magic solutions. She was just there, present, as if she understood that some pains have no cure, only company. Henry remained immersed in his work. He left early, came home late. He barely noticed the new employee who now moved about the house. When he crossed paths with Maya in the hallways, he would just give a distracted nod and move on. Maria, however, watched everything closely. She saw how Sophia had started asking for Maya when she wasn't around. She noticed that the girl stayed awake longer, waiting for the young woman to come up and talk before she went to sleep. On a rainy Thursday, Maya arrived carrying a thermal bag. Inside, wrapped in parchment paper, was a piece of still warm homemade bread, melted butter and cheese. The smell filled the kitchen when she opened the package. Maria frowned. "Did you bring your own lunch?" Maya smiled sheepishly. "I woke up early today and decided to make it. My grandmother taught me the recipe. It's simple, but it always comforts me when I'm sad or tired." I thought I'd eat it here if it's not a bother. Of course not. Make yourself at home. Maya took her snack and went upstairs. She knocked on Sophia's door. Can I come in? You can. The girl was sitting on the bed, hugging her teddy bear. Maya entered, sat on the floor leaning against the wall as had become her custom. I brought my breakfast today. Is it okay if I eat it here with you? Sophia shrugged. Okay. Maya slowly unwrapped the bread. The aroma of warm butter spread through the room. She took the first bite, closed her eyes. Always reminds me of my childhood. My mum used to make this for me when I was sad. She said food made with love heals you from the inside. Sophia watched. Her eyes, which had been dull for so long, now had a different glint. She looked at the bread, at the butter dripping, at the simple way Maya savored each piece. Maya didn't offer. She didn't extend the bread toward the girl, didn't ask if she wanted to try it. She just kept eating, slowly, as if that moment was hers alone. But there was something in the scene, in the naturalness of the gesture, in the smell that evoked old memories, that awakened something dormant in Sophia. When Maya finished, she put the paper back in her bag and smiled at the girl. I'm going to go help Maria downstairs. If you need anything, just call me. Maya! The young woman stopped at the door. Yes? Are you bringing it? Again tomorrow, Maya pretended to think. I can, but only if you promise you'll at least smell it. Sometimes we forget how much the good things in life have a real scent. Sophia nodded. I promise. The next day, Maya came up again with the same snack. This time she brought 2 napkins. She sat on the floor, unwrapped the bread, but before she started eating, she placed a piece on the extra napkin and left it next to Sophia on the bed. You don't have to eat it if you don't want to, but it'll be here in case you change your mind. Sophia looked at the bread, at the butter still glistening on the surface, at the soft cheese. Her stomach, empty for so long, knotted up. But it wasn't from hunger, it was from fear. Fear of living again, fear of betraying her mother by moving on, fear that accepting the food would mean accepting Helen's final absence. Maya ate in silence, as always. When she finished, she gathered her paper, but left Sophia's piece untouched beside her. It's there. When you want it, it's waiting. That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about her mother, about the mornings when Helen would wake her with kisses, the smell of the coffee she made, the stories she told before bed. She felt her chest tighten, her throat close. But for the first time in weeks, it wasn't just pain. There was something else. A small, almost imperceptible desire to come back. The next day, when Maya came up with the snack, she found Sophia sitting on the edge of the bed, the napkin from the day before still beside her, the bread untouched and now hard. The young woman said nothing. She just prepared a new piece and left it in the same place. Then she began to eat her own. The silence stretched on. And then, in a sudden movement, Sophia picked up the bread. Her hands were trembling. She brought it to her mouth, hesitated. Maya continued eating as if nothing was happening, but inside her heart was racing. Sophia took the first bite. The taste of the butter, the salt of the cheese, the softness of the bread. It all exploded in her mouth like an old memory resurfacing. She swallowed, and then she began to cry. It wasn't a silent cry. It was deep, visceral, built up over weeks. Sophia cried and ate and cried. Maya put down her own snack, approached slowly, and sat beside her on the bed. She didn't hug her, didn't ask questions. She just placed a hand on the girl's back and stayed there, firm, present. I missed it, Sophia sobbed. I missed her so much. I know, sweetie, I know. And now she's not here anymore, and I don't know what to do. You do what you're doing now. You feel, you cry, you eat, you live. Little by little, day by day. But it hurts so much. I know it hurts, and it's going to hurt for a long time. But the pain doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you truly loved, and that never goes away. Sophia finished the bread between sobs. When she was done, She curled up in Maya's lap and finally fell asleep. It was the first time in weeks she had slept without nightmares. Maria, who had witnessed the scene from the half-open door, went downstairs with tears in her eyes. She picked up the phone and called Henry. "Sir, you need to come home. Now." "What happened? Is it Sophia?" "Yes, but this time it's good news." Henry arrived home an hour later. He ran up the stairs, burst into Sophia's room. The girl was lying in bed, Maya sitting beside her, stroking her hair. When she saw her father, Sophia sat up. "Dad, I ate." Her voice was weak, but there was life in it. Henry felt his chest tighten. "You ate? What?" "A roll with butter and cheese. Maya brought it for me." He looked at the young woman, who stood up respectfully. "I just offered, sir. The decision was all hers." Henry didn't know what to feel. Relief, gratitude. But there was something else, something that bothered him. For weeks he had tried everything, spent a fortune on specialists, and nothing had worked. And now this young woman, who barely knew Sophia, had achieved in days what he couldn't in weeks. "Thank you," he said, but his voice came out tense. "Maya, could you give us a minute?" "Of course." The young woman left, closing the door behind her. Henry sat on the bed next to his daughter. "How are you feeling?" "Better." "Good. You had us very worried." "I'm sorry, Dad." "You don't need to be sorry. You just need to keep getting better." But there was something in his voice, a distance that Sophia felt but didn't understand. "Dad, aren't you happy?" "I am, honey. Of course I am." But he wasn't, and that shamed him deeply. In the following days, Sophia began to eat regularly. Not much, but enough for her body to start recovering. Maya continued her daily visits, always bringing something simple, always sharing stories, always present. The girl began to talk more, to ask questions, to show curiosity about the world outside. Henry watched it, all from a distance. He came home earlier now, but he stayed in his home office, locked away with his reports. When Sophia asked him to have dinner with her, he made excuses. "I need to finish this, honey. We'll talk later." Maria noticed, and she decided she wasn't going to stay silent anymore. One night, she knocked on the door of Henry's office. She entered without waiting for a response. "Sir, we need to talk. For real this time." "Maria, I'm busy." "It doesn't matter. What I have to say can't wait." Henry sighed, put down his pen. "What is it? You're angry with Maya." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Henry opened his mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. Maria continued. "You're angry because she managed to reach Sophia in a way you couldn't. And that hurts you, I know, but you need to understand something. She's not stealing your daughter, she's saving her." Henry took a deep breath. "I tried, Maria. I tried everything. But you didn't try the one thing Sophia really needed. You, your presence, your hug, your attention. I didn't know how I was lost. And Maya wasn't. The girl lost her mother at 7, developed deep scars, but she learned to live with them. And now she's using that pain to help your daughter. Meanwhile, you hide in your work, drown in meetings, do everything not to feel. And the one who suffers is Sophia. That's not fair, Maria." "No, sir, what's not fair is a 6-year-old child thinking the only way to see her mother again is to stop living." The words hit Henry like a punch. "What?" "Sophia told me yesterday. The night she had that breakdown, she said that if she stopped eating, if she disappeared, maybe she could find her mother again. She was trying to fade away, sir, literally, and you didn't even notice because you were too busy running from your own pain." Henry felt his legs go weak. He sat heavily in his chair. My God, my God. "Sophia needs you, Mr. Hayes. Not your money, not the doctors you hire. She needs you to be present, to talk to her, to hug her, to cry with her if you have to, because you're both going through the same pain, and shared pain weighs less." Henry covered his face with his hands. Maria left the office, closing the door softly. That night, Henry couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, thinking about Maria's words, about the lost weeks, about the daughter he had almost let slip away. At 3 in the morning, he heard a scream. He jumped out of bed, ran to Sophia's room. The girl was sitting up in bed, trembling, her face wet with tears. Maria was already there, trying to calm her. "Sophia, it's okay. It was just a nightmare." But Sophia wouldn't calm down. She shook her head, her hands clutching the sheets. "I saw her. I saw Mommy. She was calling for me. She said I could go, that I just had to close my eyes and go." Henry felt his heart stop. He approached slowly. "Sophia, look at me." The girl turned her red-rimmed eyes to him. "Dad." He knelt beside the bed, took her hands. "Your mother isn't calling for you, honey. She wants you to stay, to grow up, to be happy, to experience all the beautiful things she couldn't see. But I miss her so much. Me too. I miss her in a way that hurts my chest, that takes my breath, a way that makes everything seem meaningless. But you know what I've learned? We don't have to choose between missing her and moving on. We can do both. We can remember her every day and still live." "Really?" "Really. And I promise, I truly promise, that I'll be here to help you. I won't run away anymore. I won't hide anymore. We're going to get through this together." Sophia threw herself into his arms. Henry held her tight, feeling her small, fragile body tremble against his chest. For the first time since Helen's passing, he cried. He cried loudly, without shame, without control. And Sophia cried with him. Father and daughter finally united in their grief, finally allowing the sadness to exist without destroying them. Maria watched from the doorway, her own tears streaming silently. She left quietly, leaving the two of them in that embrace that should have happened weeks ago. The next morning, when Maya arrived, Henry was waiting for her in the living room. "We need to talk," she nodded, her heart tight. "Of course, sir." "I want to thank you for what you did for Sophia. I was lost and you brought her back." Maya smiled shyly. "I was just present, sir. Sophia did all the hard work." "Even so, you saw what I couldn't. That's priceless." There was a pause. Maya took a deep breath. "Sir, I understand if you want me to step back now. Sophia is getting better, and I know my presence might be strange for you." Henry shook his head. "No. On the contrary, I'd like you to stay. Sophia needs you, and I've learned that pride doesn't save anyone." Maya nodded, relieved. "I'll stay as long as I'm needed." And so, with painful honesty and hard-won humility, the house began to find a new balance. It wasn't the same as before, it never would be. But it was real, it was true, and it was being built on a foundation of pain, transformed into presence. Sundays in the Upper East Side apartment took on a new meaning. What began as a spontaneous gesture from Maya turned into a sacred ritual. Every week at 9 in the morning, the four of them would gather in the kitchen: Henry, Sophia, Maya, and Maria. Together, they would prepare the rolls with butter and cheese that had marked their new beginning. Sophia was the most dedicated. Her small hands kneaded the dough with almost reverent devotion. Henry stood beside her, guiding, correcting when necessary, but mostly just watching his daughter's face, which was slowly regaining its color, her eyes that were recovering their sparkle, the shy smile that appeared more and more often. Maya would slice the cheese thinly, just the way Sophia liked. Maria would whip the butter until it was creamy. There was soft music playing on the radio, casual conversation, occasional laughter. It wasn't the explosive happiness of before. It was something more contained, more conscious, a joy that knew the pain it carried, but chose to exist anyway. "You're getting good at this," Henry said one morning, watching Sophia knead the dough. The girl smiled proudly. "Maya taught me the secret. You have to knead it with love, not in a hurry." Henry looked at Maya, who shrugged with a shy smile. "It's true. My grandmother used to say that food made in a hurry doesn't feed the soul." "Your grandmother was a wise woman," Maria commented, putting the butter in a bowl. "She was. She taught me almost everything I know." "Almost?" Henry asked. Maya hesitated, then continued. "The rest I learned on my own. I learned that some things you only discover by living them, by feeling them firsthand." There was a comfortable silence. These silences had become common. They were no longer the suffocating voids from the beginning. They were pauses where each of them could be with their own thoughts without feeling alone. The rolls baked for 20 minutes. The smell filled the entire house, an aroma now associated with rebuilding, with healing, with family. When they took them out of the oven, golden and perfect, Sophia clapped her hands. Maria cut them into generous slices. They all sat at the kitchen table, not in the formal dining room that Helen had decorated with such care. The kitchen felt more honest, more fitting for the moment they were living. Henry spread butter on Sophia's slice, placed the cheese on top, and handed it to her carefully. The girl took a bite, closed her eyes. "It's perfect." "Because it was made with love," Maya said softly. "And with you here," Sophia added, looking at the young woman. Henry watched the exchange. In the early days, it would have bothered him. He would have felt like a stranger, in his own home, an intruder witnessing something he wasn't part of. But over time, he learned that jealousy and insecurity were luxuries he couldn't afford. Sophia was alive. She was eating, laughing, coming back, and Maya was an essential part of that, more than that. Henry began to notice other things, the way Maya treated everyone with the same kindness, regardless of class or position, the way she cleaned the house, not as an obligation, but as someone caring for something they love. The infinite patience with which she listened to Sophia's same stories over and over, always with genuine interest. And there was something else, something Henry barely dared to admit to himself. When Maya smiled, even if it was a small smile, something inside him calmed down. When she entered a room, the air seemed lighter. When she spoke, even if it was simple words about everyday things, he found himself paying too much attention. Maria noticed, of course. She noticed everything. One afternoon, while Maya was upstairs with Sophia, the housekeeper struck up a conversation with Henry. "Sir, can I be honest with you?" Henry looked up from the papers he was reviewing in the living room. "Of course, Maria. Maya is a good woman, the kind you don't find every day." Henry agreed, not understanding where this was going. "That's true. I'm very grateful to have her here." "You have feelings for her." It wasn't a question. Henry felt his face grow warm. "Maria, I don't know what you're talking about." "I know you do. And I'm not judging, sir. I'm just saying it's okay. Mrs. Hayes wouldn't have wanted you to spend the rest of your life alone." Henry took a deep breath. "It's too soon, Maria. I can't. It wouldn't be right." "Who says it wouldn't be? Do you think honoring Mrs. Hayes's memory means punishing yourself forever, living unhappily? She loved you, sir. And someone who truly loves wants the other person to be happy, even if it's with someone else." "But what about Sophia? How would she react?" Maria smiled. "Sophia adores Maya, and she adores you. She just wants you both to be happy. Kids have an instinct for these things. She knows when love is real." Henry fell silent. Maria's words echoed in his mind. Was it possible? Was he allowed to move on, to feel again, to love again? The months passed. Sophia went back to school. It was hard at first. She had anxiety attacks before leaving the house, afraid something would happen while she was away. Maya developed a routine. Every morning, before Sophia left for school, they would sit together for 5 minutes. Maya would hold the girl's hands and say, "You'll go, you'll come back. I'll be right here waiting for you." It worked. Sophia would go, and she would come back. And slowly, the attacks lessened. Henry changed too. He drastically reduced his workload. He delegated responsibilities, turned down projects, prioritized being at home. In the first few weeks, he felt guilty, as if he were betraying his commitments, failing professionally. But when he saw Sophia's smile when she found him at home in the afternoon, he knew he had made the right choice. He began to participate more in his daughter's life. He helped with her homework, even when he didn't quite understand the subject. He read stories before bed, with funny voices for each character. On Saturdays, he took Sophia for ice cream in the park. They were simple things, but things he once thought he didn't have time for. Maya remained a constant presence, but now her role had evolved. She was no longer just the employee who helped with the house and took care of Sophia. She was part of the family. She had dinner with them, participated in decisions about the girl, offered her opinion when asked. And Henry realized he was paying more and more attention to her, to the way she tied her hair up when she was cooking, to the way she bit her lower lip when she was concentrating, to the quiet laugh that escaped when Sophia did something funny. One night after Sophia had fallen asleep, Henry found Maya in the kitchen. She was washing the dinner dishes, humming softly. He stood in the doorway for a moment, just watching. When she noticed his presence, she turned with a smile. "Do you need something, Mr. Hayes?" He had asked her to just call him Henry, but she insisted on Mr., maintaining a respectful distance. "No, I just came to say thank you. For dinner, for the day, for everything." "You don't have to thank me. It's my job." "It's not just a job, Maya, you know that." She looked away. "I know, but it's easier to call it that." "Why?" "Because if I admit it's not a job, I'll have to admit other things too." Henry moved closer. "What things?" Maya took a deep breath. "That I care. That it's not just Sophia I worry about. That when you come home, my day gets lighter. That when you smile, I feel like I've done something right." The silence that followed was charged with electricity. Henry stood just a few feet from her. "Maya, I know it's soon. I know it might be wrong, improper. But I feel the same way, and I don't know how to hide it anymore." She turned to face him. "Then don't hide it, but let's take it slow. No rush, no pressure. Just letting it happen in its own time." Henry nodded. He was relieved, terrified, and hopeful all at once. "Thank you for being honest," Maya smiled. "It's the only way I know how to be." They didn't kiss that night. They didn't touch beyond a brief handshake. But something had changed. A tacit agreement that they were walking towards something new, something that scared and comforted them at the same time. Sophia noticed, just as Maria had predicted, but her reaction was different from what Henry had feared. One afternoon, while she was drawing in the living room, she asked casually, "Dad, do you like Maya?" Henry almost choked on his coffee. "Why do you ask?" "Because I see the way you look at her. It's the same way you used to look at Mommy." Henry sat down next to his daughter. "And how do you feel about that?" Sophia thought for a moment. "I like Maya. She reminds me that I can be happy again without forgetting Mommy. I think she can do that. For you too." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. Mommy would have liked her." The wisdom of that 6-year-old child astounded Henry. How could someone so small understand things that adults took years to grasp? But not everything was linear. Recovery had its ups and downs. Sophia still had bad days, days when she woke up crying, when she didn't want to get out of bed, when her mother's absence hurt too much. Henry did too. There were nights when the weight of loneliness was unbearable, when he would pick up Helen's photo from the nightstand and cry himself to sleep. Maya had her own demons. When Sophia had a particularly bad breakdown one Tuesday night, screaming that she wanted her mother back, Maya locked herself in the bathroom and cried. She remembered her own childhood, her own unresolved pain, the fear of not being enough to help that child. It was Maria who found her. She knocked on the door, went in, and hugged the young woman. "You're doing everything right, honey. But you can't carry the world on your shoulders alone. Let us help you too." And so they learned. They learned that healing isn't linear, that relapses are part of the process, that some days will be harder than others. They learned to ask for help, to be vulnerable, to share the burden. 6 months after the day Sophia first ate, the house was unrecognizable, not in its decor or structure, but in its energy. There was life flowing through the rooms, laughter in the living room, conversations in the kitchen, music in Sophia's room. One Sunday night, after the bread ritual, Sophia asked to watch a movie. They chose a light comedy. They all sat on the couch. Henry, Sophia in the middle, Maya and Maria on the ends. When the movie was over, Sophia was asleep, her head resting on her father's shoulder, her feet in Maya's lap. Maria stood up. "I'm heading up. Good night, you two." Henry and Maya stayed there, Sophia sleeping between them. He reached out his hand, lightly touched her fingers over the couch. Maya intertwined her fingers with his. They said nothing. They didn't need to. When Sophia woke up in the middle of the night, she found the three of them still there. Her father, Maya and Maria all asleep in the living room. She smiled. She took the blanket from the armchair and carefully covered each of them. Then she snuggled back into her father's lap. For the first time since her mother had passed, Sophia didn't have nightmares. She dreamed of warm bread, of laughter in the kitchen, of hands held around a table. She dreamed of a house that, though different, was alive again. And when she woke up the next morning, still on the couch, surrounded by these people who had chosen to stay, chosen to fight, chosen to love her when she couldn't love herself, Sophia understood something profound. Love doesn't replace what was lost, but it illuminates what remains. Henry and Maya continued to build something new, without rushing, respecting each other's time, honoring Helen's memory not with guilt, but with gratitude for what she left behind. An incredible daughter, and the certainty that true love never ends, it only transforms. The house on the Upper East Side began to pulse again, with a different cadence, more conscious, more human. And on Sunday mornings, when the smell of fresh bread filled the rooms, you could feel that there, in that space, 4 people had learned the hardest lesson of all, that presence conquers silence, that listening conquers control, and that healing doesn't come from ready-made formulas, but from the courage to stay when everything tells you to run. Life in the Upper East Side apartment had found a rhythm, a gentle cadence that seemed promising. But peace, as Henry would soon discover, is always fragile when built on foundations still healing. It was on a Thursday afternoon, 3 months after that night on the couch, that the first tremor hit. Henry was in his home office when the doorbell rang. Maria answered. Henry heard voices in the entryway, one of them strangely familiar. He came down the stairs and froze halfway. Laura, Helen's sister. "Henry," she said, her voice controlled but tense. "We need to talk." He hadn't seen her since the funeral. Laura had kept her distance, claiming it was too hard to be around everything that reminded her of her sister. But there she was, impeccably dressed, her blonde hair in an elegant bun, the same erect posture she always had. Beside her was a man in a grey suit whom Henry didn't recognize. "Laura, what a surprise! Please come in." She entered, her eyes scanning every corner of the house as if looking for something. The man followed her in silence. Henry led them to the living room. They sat, the tension palpable in the air. "This is Frank Miller, my attorney," Laura said without preamble. Henry felt his stomach clench. "An attorney? Laura, what's going on?" She took a deep breath, crossed her legs, adopting a professional demeanor that masked her emotion. "I've received some concerning information, Henry, about Sophia, about the way you're raising my niece." "What do you mean? Sophia is fine, better than ever." "Yes, I heard you hired a young woman with no apparent qualifications and that she's practically raising my niece. Maya isn't raising Sophia, she's helping us, and she's done an incredible job." Laura leaned forward. "Have you ever stopped to think what Helen would think of all this? You replacing her so quickly with an employee?" The words were like knives. Henry felt his anger rise. "I'm not replacing anyone, and Maya is not just an employee. She saved our daughter when I couldn't." "Exactly. You admit you failed as a father, and now you're letting a stranger take the place that should be yours." The lawyer, silent until then, intervened, with a professional voice. "Mr. Hayes, my client is concerned about the minor's well-being. She is considering filing for custody." The world stopped. Henry looked at Laura, incredulous. "You can't be serious." "I am, Henry. Sophia is all I have left of my sister. I'm not going to stand by and watch you destroy what Helen built." "Destroy? Sophia is happy. She's eating, studying, living." "With a stranger in her mother's place. Do you think that's healthy? Do you think Helen would approve?" Henry stood up, his hands trembling. "I think you need to leave." Laura stood up too, her chin held high. "I will, but my attorney will be in touch. I'll do whatever it takes to protect my niece, even if it's from you." She left, the lawyer in tow. Henry stood in the living room, his heart racing, his mind trying to process what had just happened. Maria appeared at the door, her face pale. "Sir, Maya heard everything. She ran upstairs to her room." Henry took the stairs 2 at a time. He found Maya in the hallway, leaning against the wall, her hands covering her face. "Maya," she looked up, her eyes red. "I'm leaving. It's for the best." "No, you're not going anywhere. You heard what she said. She's right. I'm just an employee. I have no right to be between you like this." You are not just an employee. You are part of this family. But her family doesn't think so. And what if she actually manages to take Sophia? Henry, I couldn't live with myself knowing I was the reason you were separated. She's not taking Sophia from me. I won't let her. But what if she does? What if the judge thinks she's right, that I'm an inappropriate influence? Henry held her shoulders. Look at me. You saved my daughter. You saved me. No judge in the world is going to change that. Maya shook her head, tears streaming down her face. You don't understand. I've been through this before. When my mother died, my family fought over my custody. I was passed from house to house, hearing every day that I was a burden, that it was my fault, that I didn't deserve to be there. I won't let that happen to Sophia. It won't happen. I promise. But even as he said it, Henry felt fear grip his chest. What if Laura really could win? What if a judge decided he was an unfit father, that Maya was an improper presence? That night, Sophia knew something was wrong. At dinner, the adults were too quiet, their smiles forced. When Maya got up to do the dishes, Sophia followed her. Are you leaving? The girl asked, her voice small. Maya turned, surprised. Why would you think that? Because everyone is acting weird, and you didn't look at me during dinner. Sophia was too perceptive for her age. Maya knelt in front of her. I'm not leaving, I promise. But you're sad. I am. But not because of you. Never because of you. Is it because of Aunt Laura? Maya froze. You heard. I was in my room. I heard her talking loudly. She thinks you're a stranger. Sophia, listen. Sometimes people are afraid of change. Your aunt loved your mother very much and she thinks she's protecting you. But she's wrong, you're not a stranger, you're family. The child's simple words broke Maya's heart. She hugged Sophia tightly. Thank you, little bird. That means everything to me. Henry hired a lawyer the next day, Richard Davis, a man in his 50s with a solid reputation in family law. He listened to the whole story, asked detailed questions, reviewed documents. Look, Henry, I'll be honest with you. Her case is weak, but not impossible. Judges tend to favor blood relatives, especially when there are questions about the domestic environment. But there's nothing wrong with the environment. Sophia is thriving. Any psychologist can attest to that. I know. But it's not just about that. It's about perception. A young woman with no family ties living in the same house developing a relationship with you, it could be interpreted as inappropriate. Henry felt his anger boil. There is nothing inappropriate. Maya is respectable, dedicated, and competent. I believe you, but we need to build a solid case. I'll need testimonies, psychological evaluations of Sophia, school records, anything that proves she's in a healthy and stable environment. You'll have all of it. And one more thing, it would be good if you and Maya maintained, let's say, an appropriate distance until this is resolved, at least for appearance's sake. Henry hated every word of it, but he knew the lawyer was right. Talking to Maya was one of the hardest things he'd ever had to do. She was in the kitchen preparing lunch when he walked in. We need to talk. She turned off the stove, turned to him. I already know what you're going to say. You do? You need me to keep my distance, to just be the employee, at least until this all blows over. Henry hated that she had understood so quickly. It's not what I want. It's what the lawyer recommended, to protect Sophia, to protect us. I understand. Maya wiped her hands on her apron. I'll do whatever it takes for Sophia. Thank you. But there's something you need to know, Henry. If at any point you think I'm the problem, that my presence is hurting instead of helping, I'll leave. No hard feelings, no drama. Because what matters is her well-being. You will never be a problem. You are the solution. The days that followed were tense. Maya went back to calling Henry Mr. She kept a physical distance, no longer ate dinner with the family, avoided conversations beyond what was necessary. Sophia noticed immediately. Why is Maya being weird? She asked her father one night. She's not being weird, honey, she's just busy. She doesn't sit with us for dinner anymore. She doesn't tell me stories before I go to sleep. Henry didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that the adult world was complicated, full of unwritten rules and appearances that had to be maintained? It's temporary, Sophia, I promise. But the girl wasn't convinced, and Henry saw the effect. Sophia became quieter again, less animated. She didn't stop eating, but she ate less. She didn't stop talking, but she talked less. It was as if a part of the light Maya had ignited was slowly dimming. Maria, watching it all, couldn't take it anymore. One afternoon she confronted Henry. "Sir, this can't go on." "Maria, I don't have a choice." "Yes, you do. You're letting your fear of Mrs. Hayes's sister control your life. You're hurting the two people who matter most to you." "I'm protecting Sophia." "No, you're not. You're pushing her away from the very person who saved her, and Maya is suffering in silence, thinking she's a burden." "What do you want me to do? If I don't follow the lawyer's advice, I could lose Sophia for real." "And if you do, you'll lose her. In another way. She's going back to that dark place, sir, don't you see?" Henry saw, and it terrified him. That night he couldn't sleep. He got up in the middle of the night to get some water. He found Maya sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of tea in her hands, staring into space. "Can't sleep?" he asked. She jumped, startled. "Mr. Hayes, I'm sorry, I was just about to go up." "You don't have to. Sit, please." Maya hesitated but sat. Henry got another cup, poured himself some tea and sat across from her. "We have to stop this." "Stop what?" "This distance, it's hurting Sophia, it's hurting us. But your lawyer said—" "I know what he said, but I can't live like this. I can't pretend you're not important to me, to us, just because my sister-in-law is afraid of change." Maya looked into his eyes. "Henry, if I stay, if we continue like this, she could use it against you. She could say there's something improper happening here." "So what? Let her. We know the truth. Sophia knows the truth. And anyone who really cares will see that what we have here is real. It's healthy, it's full of love." "But what if that's not enough?" Henry reached his hand across the table. Maya looked at it for a long moment before intertwining her fingers with his. "Then we'll fight. Together. I'm not going to let fear make me give up again. I already did that once when Helen died. I ran from the pain, I ran from Sophia, I ran from myself. I'm not running from you." Tears streamed down Maya's face. "I'm scared I'm not enough, that I can't be what Sophia needs, what you need. You already are more than enough. You saved us when we were drowning, and now it's my turn to hold on to you when the waters get rough." They sat there, hands clasped on the table, in the comforting silence of the early morning. They hadn't solved all their problems. They hadn't made Laura's threat disappear, but they found strength in each other, and in that moment it was enough. The next morning, Maya ate dinner with the family again. She told Sophia stories before bed again. She was present again, whole, without reservations, and Sophia blossomed again. A week later, the official notice arrived. Laura had filed a formal petition for custody. The hearing was set for a month from then. The war was just beginning. But this time, Henry wouldn't be fighting alone. He sat down with Sophia on a Saturday afternoon. "Honey, I need to tell you something important." Sophia put down her colored pencils, looked at him with those enormous eyes. "Is it about Aunt Laura?" "It is. She thinks it would be better if you lived with her for a while." Sophia's face paled. "Why?" "Because she loves you and she's worried. She thinks that without your mom you need a more traditional female figure. But I already have one. I have Maya and Maria. I know, love, but sometimes adults have different ideas about what's best." Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, her voice trembling, "Do I have to go live with her?" "Not if I can help it. But we might have to talk to a judge, explain how happy you are here." "I have to talk to the judge?" "Maybe, but only if you feel comfortable. And I'll be right there with you. Maya too, if you want." "I want to, and I want to tell the judge that I don't want to leave here, that this is my home, that you are my family." Henry hugged his daughter, his heart both broken and proud. This little girl, who months ago was so lost she wanted to disappear, was now fighting to stay. It was a victory, even in the midst of the approaching storm. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Henry, Maya, and Maria gathered in the living room. "We need a plan," Henry said. Maria crossed her arms. Mrs. Laura was always controlling. Even when Mrs. Hayes was alive, she wanted to decide everything. Where they lived, how they raised Sophia, even what they ate. Helen resisted. She set boundaries, but it was always difficult. Maya was quiet, processing. "So this isn't just about me. It's about control." "Partly, yes," Maria agreed. "But it's also about pain. Laura lost her only sister, and she doesn't know how to deal with it other than by trying to control what she still can." Henry sighed. "It doesn't matter why. The fact is, she's trying to take Sophia from me, and I won't let that happen." "What can we do?" Maya asked. "We fight, with the truth, with love, with everything we have." And so in that house that had been the stage for so much pain and so much rebirth, 3 people united for a common cause, to protect a little girl who had learned, against all odds, to want to live again. It wouldn't be easy, but together maybe it was possible. The weeks leading up to the hearing were the hardest since the first days after Helen's passing. The house, which had found a fragile but real peace, was now once again steeped in tension. Henry barely slept, spending his nights reviewing documents, preparing arguments, talking with his lawyer. Maya tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for Sophia, but the girl felt everything. "Dad, are you mad at me?" Sophia asked one morning at breakfast. Henry almost dropped his mug. "What? No, honey. Why would you think that?" "Because you don't smile anymore. You're in your office all the time, just like when Mommy died." The words hit Henry hard. He dropped what he was doing, knelt in front of his daughter. "Sophia, listen to me. I am not mad at you, I could never be. I'm just worried because I want us to stay together. But this is not your fault, do you understand?" The girl nodded, but Henry saw the doubt in her eyes. It was the same look he had seen months ago when Sophia was losing herself. The fear of not being enough, of being a burden, of the people she loved leaving because of her. Maya, who witnessed the scene from the kitchen doorway, approached. "Sophia, you know that song your mum used to sing to you?" The girl looked at her. "The one about the little birds?" "That's the one. Your mum taught it to me. Do you want me to sing it for you now?" Sophia frowned, confused. "Mommy taught you, but you didn't know her." Maya gave a soft smile, exchanging a quick glance with Henry. "Not in the way you think, but I got to know her through the stories you told me. And now I know all about her, about how special she was, how much she loved you, how she made you laugh." The revelation touched Sophia deeply. "You remember Mommy because of me?" "I do. And you know what? She's here, with us. Every time you eat that roll she liked, every time you draw the way she taught you, every time you smile like she smiled, she's here." Sophia hugged Maya tightly. Henry watched, his heart tight with emotion. This young woman had a gift for reaching people in their deepest, most wounded places, and he fell more in love with her every day. One afternoon, 3 days before the hearing, Laura showed up again. This time, she was alone. Maria answered the door, reluctant. "Should I get Mr. Hayes?" "No, I want to talk to Sophia." Maria stiffened. "I don't think that's a good idea, Mrs. Laura. I'm her aunt. I have a right to see her." Henry came down the stairs at that moment. "Laura, what do you want?" She lifted her chin, but there was something different in her eyes, a fragility that wasn't there before. "I want to see my niece, that's all." "You're not going to try to convince her of anything, not going to plant ideas in her head." Laura took a deep breath. "Henry, I know you think I'm the villain, but I love Sophia. She's all I have left of my sister. And you think taking her from me is love. I think protecting her is, from this whole situation, this mess. There is no mess. There's a family trying to rebuild itself, with a stranger in the middle. Maya is not a stranger." Laura sighed, tired. "Can I see Sophia or not?" Henry hesitated. Then he called out, "Sophia!" The girl appeared at the top of the stairs. When she saw Laura, her face fell. "Aunt Laura." "Hi, sweetie. Can I come up and talk to you?" Sophia looked at her father. Henry nodded. "It's okay. I'll be right down here if you need me." The two went upstairs. Henry stood at the bottom of the stairs, tense, listening. He couldn't make out the words, but he could hear the tone. Laura spoke softly. Sophia answered in monosyllables. 15 minutes later, Laura came down. Her eyes were red. She walked past Henry without a word and left the house. He ran up to Sophia's room. The girl was sitting on the bed, hugging her teddy bear. "What did she say?" Sophia looked at her father. "She asked if I was happy here. I said yes. She asked if you took good care of me. I said yes. She asked about Maya. She asked. I said she's important to me." "And what else?" Sophia bit her lip. She cried. She said she misses Mommy so much that sometimes she doesn't know what to do with the pain. Henry sat beside his daughter. "We all miss her. It's normal." "I know. But I think Aunt Laura is lost, just like we were at the beginning, when you only worked and I just wanted to disappear." The girl's perception haunted Henry. "Maybe so. Maybe she is. I told her we can miss her together, that she can come here whenever she wants, that she doesn't have to take me away from you to be part of my life." And what did she say? She said she'd think about it. That night, Henry couldn't get the conversation out of his head. He called his lawyer. "Richard, do you think there's a chance we can resolve this without going to court?" "Depends. Did she give any sign that she's reconsidering?" "Not exactly. But she came here, talked to Sophia. She seemed different, more vulnerable. Vulnerability can be an opening. Do you want me to try for mediation?" "I think it's worth a shot." Laura's lawyer called the next. His client was willing to talk. No judges, no courtroom, just an honest conversation. The meeting was set for the next morning in a neutral office. Henry, Laura, and their respective lawyers. The tension was palpable. They sat on opposite sides of a large mahogany table. Laura spoke first, her voice controlled but filled with emotion. "When Helen died, I felt like I lost half of myself. We were more than sisters. We were best friends, confidants. We talked every day. We knew everything about each other." Henry listened in silence, recognizing the pain in her voice. "And then, she was gone," Laura continued. "No warning, no goodbye. And I was alone. My husband had left me 2 years earlier. We don't have children. Helen and Sophia were my family. And suddenly, half of that family was gone." Henry took a deep breath. "I understand. I felt like I lost half of myself too. But you had Sophia. I had nothing. And when I came here that day and saw you moving on, saw that young woman taking my sister's place, I lost it. Because it felt like you were erasing Helen, replacing her as if she never existed. She never." "We're not erasing anyone," Henry said, firm but gentle. "Helen is present in everything. In Sophia's smile, in the photos around the house, in the stories we tell. Maya isn't taking her place. She's helping to heal the hole that was left. But it happened so fast. Helen has only been gone a few months and you're already with another woman. I'm not with Maya, not in the way you think. We are building something, yes, but slowly, with respect, always thinking of Sophia. And look, Laura, I felt guilty at first too. I thought it was wrong to feel something again. But I realized something. Honoring Helen's memory isn't about living miserably. It's about living fully, the way she would have wanted me to live." Laura wiped away a tear. "I just don't want to lose Sophia too. She's all I have left. You won't lose her, but you can't try to control how we live. Sophia is happy, she's healthy, and she loves you. There's room for you in her life, but it has to be on her terms, not yours." Laura's lawyer intervened. "My client is willing to withdraw the custody petition, but with some conditions." Henry leaned forward. "I'm listening. Regular visits, at least twice a month, and participation in important decisions regarding Sophia's education and health." "That's reasonable," Henry's lawyer agreed. "And one more thing," Laura added, looking directly at Henry. I want to meet Maya for real, talk to her, understand who she is. Because if she's going to be a part of Sophia's life, I need to know I can trust her." Henry nodded. "Done." 2 days later, Laura came for dinner. Maya was visibly nervous, her hands trembling as she set the table. Maria calmed her down. "You'll do fine, dear. Just be yourself." When Laura arrived, Maya greeted her at the door. Sophia stood beside her father. The atmosphere was tense but polite. They all sat at the table. Maria had prepared a simple but lovely dinner. "Maya," Laura began after the first course, "tell me about yourself. Where are you from? How did you end up here?" Maya took a deep breath. "I'm from Queens. My mother passed away when I was 7. I was raised by my grandmother, who is also gone now. I've worked since I was young to help out at home. I studied at night, finished high school. I ended up here through a recommendation from a friend of Maria's. And why did you accept a job in a house dealing with such a delicate situation?" Maya looked at Sophia, who was watching her intently. "Because I recognize something in Sophia that I saw in myself. The pain of losing the person you love most, the feeling of being lost in a world that keeps spinning. I thought maybe I could help, since I'd been through it. And you fell in love in the process." It wasn't an accusation, but a statement. Maya met Laura's gaze. "I grew attached, yes, to Sophia first, and then to Henry. But it was never my intention. I never tried to take anyone's place. Helen was extraordinary. Sophia talks about her every day. I could never, and would never want to, replace that." Laura was quiet for a moment. Then she asked something no one expected. "Are you happy here?" Maya blinked, surprised. "I am. More than I ever thought I would be again." "And Sophia? Is she happy?" Maya smiled. "Why don't you ask her?" All eyes turned to the girl. Sophia put her fork down. "I am happy, Aunt Laura. Not in the same way I was when Mommy was here. But it's a different kind of happy. It's knowing I can miss her and still want to live. It's having people who truly love me, who stay even when it's hard." Laura wiped her eyes. "Your mother would be so proud of you." "You really think so?" "I'm sure of it. She always wanted you to be strong, independent, able to face anything. And just look at you now." Sophia got up from her chair, walked around the table, and hugged her aunt. Laura hugged her back, crying openly. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry I tried to take you away from here. I was scared, so angry, but I was wrong. It's okay, Auntie. You can come here whenever you want. We can miss Mommy together." It was a moment of healing, not just for Laura and Sophia, but for everyone in the room. Henry felt a huge weight lift from his shoulders. Maya smiled for the first time since the evening began. Even Maria, usually so composed, was discreetly wiping away tears. After dinner, while Sophia showed her drawings to Laura in the living room, Maya and Henry did the dishes together in the kitchen. "You were incredible tonight," he said. "I was terrified. It didn't show. You were honest, respectful, true. That's all that matters." Maya rinsed a plate. "Do you think she'll really drop the case?" "I think so. She just needed to see that she's not losing anything, that she might even gain more." "Henry, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you really building something with me, or are you just saying that to protect Sophia?" He dropped what he was doing, turned her to face him. "I'm building something with you because it's what my heart wants, because I wake up thinking about you, because when you smile my day gets better, because I can't imagine my life without you in it, and none of that has to do with convenience or protection. It has to do with love." Maya had tears in her eyes. "I love you too. I was so afraid to say it, that it was wrong, that it was too soon." "It's not too soon, not when it's real." They kissed right there in the kitchen for the first time. It wasn't a passionate or desperate kiss. It was gentle, respectful, full of promise. When they parted, they were both smiling. From the doorway, Sophia watched. She didn't seem surprised, just happy. She went back to the living room and told Laura. "They kissed." Laura raised an eyebrow. "And how do you feel about that?" "Happy, because Dad is happy again, and Maya is too. And when they're happy, I'm happy." You're very wise for your age, you know that? Sophia shrugged. I learned that life is too short not to let people be happy. On Monday, Laura's lawyer officially withdrew the custody petition. The hearing was cancelled. Henry felt like he could breathe for the first time in weeks, but the victory wasn't just legal, it was emotional. Laura began visiting regularly. She came on Sundays, helped with the bread ritual. She told stories about Helen, keeping her memory alive in a healthy way. Sophia gained a present aunt, not a threat. Maya officially became part of the family, not just as an employee, but as Henry's partner, a second mother to Sophia, a daughter to Maria, who had always wanted one. The house pulsed with new life built on the rubble of tragedy. One night, Henry went into Sophia's room to say goodnight. The girl was drawing. Can I see? It was a family portrait. Henry, Maya, Sophia, Maria, and Laura, all holding hands, smiling. In the top corner, an ethereal, almost transparent figure with open wings, Helen like a guardian angel watching over them all. It's beautiful, honey. It's our family, the old one and the new one, together. Henry hugged his daughter, his heart overflowing. Yes, my love, together, and that's how it should be. 6 months had passed since the resolution with Laura. The Upper East Side apartment breathed, a tranquility that had seemed impossible months earlier. Sophia was in 2nd grade, with excellent grades and solid friendships. Maya had enrolled in a night course in education, dreaming of one day working with children who had gone through what she and Sophia had. Henry had found a balance between work and family he never imagined possible. But life, as always, had surprises in store. It was on a Saturday afternoon, while they were organizing the attic, that Maria found a box no one had opened since Helen's passing. Mr. Hayes, I think you need to see this. Henry climbed the narrow attic stairs. The box was marked with Helen's handwriting, personal, do not open. He felt his heart clench. Maya, who was beside him, placed a hand on his shoulder. Do you want me to go downstairs? No, stay with me. He opened the box slowly. Inside there were notebooks, journals. Henry immediately recognized Helen's delicate script. They were years of thoughts, reflections, dreams. He picked up the last notebook, the most recent one. The date on the cover. January, just days before she passed. With trembling hands, he opened it to the last written page. And what he read changed everything. I went to the doctor today. The news isn't good. He gave me 6 months, maybe a little more. I haven't told Henry yet. How do you tell the love of your life that you're going to leave? How do you prepare Sophia to lose her mother so young? I'm so scared. But more than fear, I feel sadness. Sadness that I won't see my daughter grow up, won't grow old beside my husband, won't fulfill all the dreams we still had. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that life doesn't negotiate. And if my time is short, I'm going to make every second count. Henry dropped the journal, his hands shaking uncontrollably. Maya picked it up, read the passage. Her face went pale. Henry, she knew. Helen knew she was sick. But she never told me. Why? Why would she hide this from me? Maria, who had come up behind them, heard everything. Maybe she wanted to protect you, to give you more time together, without the shadow of the illness hanging over you. Henry felt a mix of anger and grief. I had a right to know. I could have done something, taken her to other doctors, sought treatments. Maya flipped through the previous pages. Henry, look here. She wrote more. Henry will be devastated. I know my husband. He'll lock himself away in his work. He'll run from the pain. But I hope, I pray, that he finds strength. For Sophia, for himself, and if it's possible, that he finds love again. I know it seems strange to write this, but I don't want him to spend the rest of his life alone. Sophia needs a mother figure. He needs companionship, support, love. Wherever I am after this, I'll be rooting for him to be happy, for both of them to be. Tears streamed down Henry's face. She gave me permission. Even before she left, she wanted me to move on. There's more, Maya said softly, turning more pages. Look at this entry from a week before. I met a young woman at the bakery today. She works there on Saturdays. I talked to her while I waited for my bread. She told me she lost her mother young, that she was raised by her grandmother. There's a sadness in her eyes that I recognize. But there's also strength. I asked her, name Maya. Beautiful. I gave her a big tip, more than I should have. She seemed surprised but thanked me with a genuine smile. I don't know why, but I felt like I was supposed to meet her, as if our paths were meant to cross somehow. Maya's eyes widened. I remember that day. A beautiful, elegant woman was incredibly kind to me. She asked about my life, listened to my stories. She even gave me hope when I needed it most. It was Helen. Henry looked at Maya, stunned. You met before all of this. I didn't know who she was. She didn't introduce herself. It was just a quick conversation, but it was memorable. She told me something I never forgot, that people who go through deep pain have the power to heal other people too. The puzzle was coming together in a way none of them had expected. Maria took the journal, read further ahead. There's more here. Listen to this. I gave Maria's contact info to Maya. I told her she could call if she wanted, that there's always work for good-hearted people. I don't know if she'll call, but if she does, and if I'm already gone, I hope Maria knows what to do. I hope she sees in Maya what I saw. Someone capable of caring, of loving, of healing, someone who could help my family when I'm no longer there. Maria covered her mouth, tears streaming. I didn't know. When Maya called months later looking for work, I thought it was a coincidence. Mrs. Hayes never told me anything about this. Henry was processing it all, his mind spinning. Helen orchestrated everything. Before she even left, she prepared a path for our healing. Maya sat on the attic floor, shaken. She handpicked me. She found me, talked to me, planted the seed, and when the time came, everything fell into place. It wasn't manipulation, Maria said softly. It was love. A mother's love, a wife's love. Mrs. Hayes knew she couldn't stay, so she did what she could to make sure you would be okay when she was gone. Henry took the journal back, flipped to the very last entry. It was from the morning Helen passed. I woke up today feeling like it's the day. My body knows. I looked at Henry sleeping beside me. I went downstairs, made coffee, waited for Sophia to wake up. We had our normal breakfast. We laughed at her silly joke. I stored that moment in my heart. I'm not afraid of leaving. I'm afraid of leaving them. But I trust. I trust that they will find a way. I trust that the love I planted will blossom even in my absence. And if Maya appears in their lives, I hope they see in her the gift I tried to leave. Someone who understands pain, but chooses love. Someone like I would want to be, if I could stay. Henry, Sophia, be happy. It's all I ask, it's all I ever wanted. The attic fell silent. Henry was crying openly, holding the journal as if it were the world's most precious treasure. Maya cried beside him. Even Maria, always so strong, was in tears. Henry turned to Maya. You were the last gift she gave me. The greatest gift. Maya shook her head. It wasn't me. It was love. The love she had for you was so great that it transcended her own existence. She literally prepared the ground so you could recover. We need to tell Sophia, Henry said. They came down from the attic, found the girl in the living room watching cartoons. Sophia immediately sensed that something important had happened. What's wrong? Henry sat beside her, the journal in his hands. Honey, we found something your mother wrote. Something very important. He read selected parts to Sophia, adapting where necessary. The girl listened intently, her eyes wide. When he finished, Sophia was quiet for a long moment. So, Mommy knew she was going to leave? She finally asked. She did, love. And she was scared, but she was also preparing everything so that we would be okay. And she met Maya before. She did. She thought she was special. Sophia looked at Maya. You are special. Mommy was right. Maya knelt in front of the girl. Your mother was the most incredible person I've ever met, even though I only spoke with her for a few minutes. She gave me hope when I had none. And now I understand she did it because she knew that one day I could pay it forward by taking care of you and your dad." "Do you think she's happy?" Sophia asked. "Wherever she is, do you think she's happy watching us?" "I'm sure she is," Henry answered. "She wanted us to be happy. That's exactly what we are." "Can I see the journal?" Sophia asked. Henry handed it to her. Sophia flipped through it slowly, looking at her mother's handwriting, touching the pages as if she could feel Helen through them. She stopped on a page with a drawing. It was a heart with 3 initials, H.S., and an empty space with a question mark. "What's this?" she asked. "I think your mum was leaving space for whoever came to complete our family," Henry said. Sophia picked up a pen, filled the empty space with the letter M. "Now it's complete." That night, Henry had a dream. Helen was standing in a garden full of flowers. She was smiling, radiant, healthy, exactly as he remembered her on her best days. She waved to him, not with sadness, but with joy. Then she pointed behind him. Henry turned in the dream and saw Maya and Sophia holding hands, smiling. When he turned back, Helen was gone. But in her place was a single, perfect white flower, shining in the sun. He woke up with tears in his eyes, but this time they weren't tears of pain. They were of gratitude. Helen had given him more than he had ever realized, not just years of love and happiness, but also the possibility of loving again after her. The following Sunday, the bread ritual had a different flavor. Laura was there, as always, but this time they read some passages from Helen's journal together. She had written about the importance of family, about how true love isn't possessive but liberating. Laura cried. "I was so wrong. Helen would have loved what you've built here." "She built this, Laura," Henry said. "We just followed the map she left." Months later, on a spring afternoon, Henry asked Maya to marry him. It was nothing extravagant. It was simple, honest, in the kitchen where it all began. Sophia was there, as a witness and accomplice. She had helped her dad pick out the ring. Maya said yes through tears. But she made one request. "I want Helen to be a part of the wedding, not as a sad shadow, but as a celebrated presence, because without her, none of this would exist." The wedding was small, intimate, in the backyard. Laura was there smiling, Maria as Maya's maid of honor, and Sophia as the flower girl, carrying a bouquet of white flowers, the same ones from Henry's dream. At the ceremony, Sophia read a letter she had written. "Mommy Helen, I know you're here today, watching everything. I want you to know that we're happy, that Dad smiles again, that Maya takes care of us with as much love as you did, and that I learned something important. Love doesn't end. It just changes shape. I love you forever." There wasn't a dry eye at the ceremony. Henry and Maya were married under a blue sky with the blessings of the living and those who had passed. It was a new beginning, but also a continuation, because true love never ends. It only transforms. Years later, Sophia, now a teenager, found another of Helen's journals. This one was hidden in a drawer in what had been her parents' room. It was addressed to her. "My dearest Sophia, if you're reading this, it means you've grown up a bit. I hope you're the strong, smart, kind young woman I always wanted you to be. I know my passing hurt you, but I hope you learned something precious, that life goes on even when it seems impossible. That it's possible to love new people without forgetting those who left. That family isn't just blood, it's a choice. If your father found someone new, celebrate it. If you found a new mother in someone else, be grateful. Because the greatest gift I can give you is not my physical presence, but the lesson that love always finds a way. I love you, my daughter. Today, tomorrow, always." Sophia took the journal to the living room where Henry and Maya were. She read it aloud. When she finished, the 3 of them hugged. There was no more pain, only gratitude. Gratitude for Helen, for having loved so deeply that she prepared a future even knowing she wouldn't be there to see it. The house on the Upper East Side, once a tomb of silence, was now a monument to a love that transcends. Sophia grew up strong, studied psychology, and dedicated her life to helping children dealing with grief. Henry and Maya had another child, a boy who carried Helen as his middle name, honoring the one who made it all possible. And every Sunday, when the smell of fresh bread filled the house, it was impossible not to feel that Helen was there, smiling, proud of the family she had left, of the family she had helped build, even in her absence. Because in the end, the story wasn't about loss. It was about a love that refuses to end, about pain transformed into healing, about endings that are just new beginnings, and about an extraordinary woman who, even in leaving, left behind not just sorrow, but a legacy of unconditional love that blossomed exactly as she had planned. End of story. Dear listeners, if the journey of Henry, Sophia, Maya, and Helen touched the depths of your heart, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments how this story of love, loss, and new beginnings impacted you. This was a narrative about how true love never dies. It just transforms into new forms of care and connection. Every day we bring stories like this that explore the complexity of the human soul, showing that even in the most painful goodbyes, there is always room for a new dawn. Your presence here means the world to us. We'll see you in the next episode with another story that will move and transform your heart. Until then, and may love always find its way to you.